Welcome in. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you trying out and clicking on a new podcast here. I'm Zach Harley. This is Chasing 48. It's part of Ghost Runner Media Podcasts. It's going to be a podcast about the Cleveland Indians, and I'm going to go through once a week, recap what they've done. Obviously, there's no games yet, so we're going to go through kind of a opening day preview, spring training recap here, what went on in the offseason and what we can look forward to as opening day creeps up. It's today, it's tomorrow, it's in 2 days. Whenever you click on this, opening day, it's here, and I'm so excited for it, especially last year. I'll be honest, I wasn't too invested. I mean, I watched the games, but 60-game season, it really didn't do it for me, and with all the back and forth between MLB and the Players Union, and are they going to play, are they not going to play, and all the COVID protocols and what have you. So I appreciate you clicking on this, though. I'm going to try to have fun. I hope you can have fun. At some point, I'm going to try to get guests on here, and we'll, again, break down what the Cleveland Indians are doing. So once again, I'm Zach Harley. This is Chasing 48, and I appreciate you tuning in. I've been working hard to get this thing up and running, so I hope you enjoy what I have to offer you here. All right, so we're going to start. All right, and if you follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Zach_Harley, ZACHHARLEY, or just on Instagram at Zach Harley, all one word. But I tweeted out yesterday, because the payrolls came in. The opening day payrolls came in across Major League Baseball. I have them right here. Dead last. Your Cleveland Indians come in dead last in the payroll. And I know they've always been in the bottom 15, but I mean dead last. They have a lower payroll than the Pirates. They have a lower payroll than the Orioles, the Marlins, the Rays, which famously strive to have the lowest payroll in baseball. And the Indians beat them out. The Indians' total payroll, opening day, $39,484,000. That's where their payroll comes in. That is $1 million lower than the Pirates, who are trying to lose. That is $6 million lower than the Orioles, who are trying to lose. The Marlins are trying to win. The Rays are trying to win. Even the Tigers, they're at $73 million. That's almost double what the Indians have. And the Indians were in the World Series not too long ago. 5 years ago, they've been to the playoffs for the last 5 years. They've won more games than anyone in the American League in the last, 7 years now since Tito Francona took over as manager. And it's all because Dolan, he wants to cry poor. He wants to cry poor. He wants to say they make no money. He has said over the last 15 years, I've lost money every single year. I've lost money every single year. That's what the Dolans say, and this is what I tweeted out yesterday. If you owned a Subway for almost 2 decades, and every single year you said you lost money, wouldn't you sell the Subway? Wouldn't you just get rid of the business, chalk it up as a loss, and move on with your life? That's what I would do. That's what I would do if I owned any business. And I lose money for 15 years, I'd probably sell the damn business. So I'm not buying it, especially there's no way you lost money every single year, Dolan, because you bought it back in early 2000, whenever you did, for $330 million. I got it right here. $330 million, somewhere around there. That's what he bought it for. The Indians just got valued a couple days ago at $1.37 billion. That's with a B. That's with a B. That's 9 zeros before that one comes into play. That's 9 of them. I can't even fathom that. So you bought it for $330 million. You're telling me your team is valued at $1.37 billion and you've lost money? BS. I'm sorry, that's bullshit. I'm just going to say it. That's bullshit. That you've profited. The team is worth $1 billion more than when you bought it for. So don't tell me you're poor. Don't tell me you've lost money. Sure, The profit margin may have gone down, but all in all, you haven't lost money. It looks like you've gained $1 billion. And I know that's the value, and sure, if he were to sell it, he could get $1 billion, or he could get 1.5. It's just a value, it's an estimate, it's not a for certain. So yes, he may not be able to profit $1 billion off of his original investment almost 2 decades ago. But you didn't lose money. I don't want to hear that you lost money, so I don't want to hear that you can't pay the guys. And sure, I could go on with Frankie Lindor. It just came out today. I'm doing this on March 30th. Frankie's asking 12 years, $385 from the Mets. I'm not going to go there. There's a lot of teams in baseball that wouldn't give that. A lot of teams. You just saw the Rockies give Arenado to the Cardinals for... Actually, they gave Arenado and $50 million just to get rid of him because they didn't want to pay him anymore. So I know there's a lot of teams that wouldn't give 12 years, $385 to somebody. I understand that. But you're going in to opening day with questions all over the roster, all over the depth chart. You're going into opening day, center field. You don't have a center fielder. You have 2 in the minors. You just send them down, and Oscar Mercado and Bradley Zimmer. And I don't care what you think about them. They at least play the position. Ben Gamble, he's played like 30 games in his career in center field, and he's been in the league, I feel like, forever. Forever. You tried out Ahmad Rosario in center field in a spring training game, and I know it's spring training, and the point was for him to learn the position, but that you shouldn't be doing that, because you're also going to come at me that you're trying to win? You're trying to win? But you just want to try a guy out at center field. You just want to try him out. I don't know. Can he play the position? I don't know. We'll try to go to the playoffs and maybe make a run at the division with a guy that has never even played the position before. Actually, 2 guys that have really never played the position before. Ahmad Rosario, he had a 3-error game in spring training. He's learning. That probably will not happen again. But you can't try out Oscar Mercado one more time? You can't try out Bradley Zimmer, which, by the way, I'm not a fan of Bradley Zimmer. I'll put that out there right now. Not a fan of Bradley Zimmer at all. I think he's good defensively. I don't think he can hit. And, yeah, he had a good spring. I got it right here. Let me get it. You can hear the papers moving. Bradley Zimmer, and the quality of opponents he played was good. 8.2 out of a scale from 0 to 10. It was 8.2. So he played pretty good competition, and he hit 290 this spring. He has a 780 OPS, which is worrisome. So when he hits the ball, he's just hitting singles. So I'm not necessarily, banging on the table for Bradley Zimmer to be on the opening day roster. But you know what? It's better than what you got. You couldn't go out and pay some center fielder $5 million, $8 million on a 1-year deal like you did Eddie Rosario. You reached for Eddie Rosario, and oh my goodness, you spent all the money. You gave him 1 year, $8 million. You spent all the money on Eddie Rosario. It's BS. It is. And I'm a fan. More than anything else, I'm a fan. And I'm sure if you're listening to this, you're a fan. Aren't you sick of this shit? Aren't you sick of them crying poor and making Antonetti and Chernoff and Tito try to work around this poor, oh, woe is me, I have no money payroll? And look, Chernoff and Antonetti, they've done a hell of a job even keeping the Indians relevant in the last decade because of what the Dolans have done. And normally I don't like to bitch about the Dolans. I normally don't. I try to stay away from it. I've done shows in the past and I stay away from it. I don't want to bitch about it. But you know what? When you come in dead last in the major leagues, that's a problem. That's a problem. And you know what? If you say you can't afford it, then sell the damn team. Then sell it. I'm not saying move it. I know the Dolans like Cleveland too much to sell it to somebody to move it. So if they did sell the team, it would be to somebody that would have to commit to keeping the team in Cleveland. I get that. I understand that. And I actually respect that. But if you say you can't afford it, then sell the damn team. Please, for the love of God. Because Cleveland is a good baseball town. And I know attendance numbers are down. You want to know why? Because people are sick of giving the Dolans money and they don't put it back on the field. If I spend money, I want to see that money go back on the field. I don't care about a new fatheads in right field. I don't care about getting the newest brewery in the concessions and they charge $12 for half a sandwich. I don't care about any of that. It's nice. It tastes great. Look, I'm not putting down fat heads. It tastes fantastic. But you know what? I'd rather have a Major League center fielder. I'd rather have a Major League first baseman, which everyone in the league has except the Cleveland Indians. And they have a guy that we think maybe he could do it. Bobby Bradley. Yeah, we'll jump on that train for a minute. Bobby Bradley, why not try him out? Jake Bauers is done, right? I'm done with him. You tried it. It didn't work. I don't know why you keep going back to it. He's out of options. I don't care. I don't care if he's out of options. He's not a good ball player. He can't square up the ball regularly enough for me to justify him getting starts over Bobby Bradley. Again, I'll go to spring training numbers, and I know not everybody loves the spring training numbers, but look, they're playing the game, right? They still got to hit the ball, and you know what? Bobby Bradley did a hell of a good job of that this spring. He hit .303. He had a .951 OPS. He played in 13 games. He had 33 at-bats, and he had 10 hits. If you hit it 1 out of every 3 times, what does that make you? He's an all-star, Dave. Exactly. Jake Bauers, on the other hand, he's the same age as Bobby Bradley, so I also don't want to hear that shit. He hit .200. He had a slugging of .286. You can't have a first baseman that has a slugging of .286. You know Roberto Perez that everybody says can't hit? He had a slugging of .577 this spring. I can't have a first baseman that has a slugging percentage under .300. I can't do it. So I don't want to go on this all day. There are things I like about this roster. There are things I like about the lineup. But I got to go on for a second about how you're going to tell me that you want to compete in 2021, and I understand, just like the Rays do it, they trade out guys so they can stay relevant and they don't have to pay a lot of people. I understand that. I get it. It works sometimes. But you can't have a big hole in center field who's the captain of the outfield, and you can't have a big hole at first base who normally is supposed to be your best power hitter. We're starting a guy in Jake Bauers who didn't even play last year in the bigs. He was on the alternate site because he wasn't good enough to make a 26-man roster. They expanded the roster by 1, and he still wasn't good enough to be on that roster. But you're going to start him at first base on opening day for the Cleveland Indians. It's not right. It's not right. I don't like it. I think Bauers maybe lasts a month before Tito kicks down the door and says, we're sending this guy back to Columbus or wherever the hell he needs to go. But Bauers is done. We've seen enough of Bauers, right? I've seen enough of Bauers to know that I don't want Bauers. If they really wanted Bauers, I think he probably, I don't know, would have been on the team last year, right? He would have been on the team last year, but he wasn't. So Bobby Bradley, I'm penciling him in for a mid-May call-up, and he'll never go back down unless he struggles too. And then that's a problem. Who's going to play first base? Can we move Fran Mill there? First base can't be that hard. I mean, it's hard, but it can't be that hard. I mean, Mark McGwire did it. He wasn't the best fielder, right? And I know he hit Bonds, right? Let's bash. Who's the other guy? Frank Thomas did it. He wasn't that good of a fielder. Jason Giambi was the worst first baseman ever, and he was just fine there. They didn't lose games because of him. You don't lose games because your first baseman's a bad fielder. You lose games because your first baseman can't hit the damn ball. So that's my issue with the roster right now. I actually do, and I'll switch it up a little bit. I do like some of this projected roster. So I got the projected roster here, and we're going Cesar first. Eddie Rosario, the new guy, batting second. I like that guy. He has pop. He can hit for contact. I like him. Obviously, the GOAT, Josie. You're putting him in third. Fran Mill. Hopefully, he can keep up what he did last year. He's going to bop in the DH position. He's going to bat cleanup. Now here's where we get to the question marks. Josh Naylor, I'm high on him. I like Josh Naylor. He had a good playoff series. I like him. Can he do it for a full 162 or 150 or even 140? I hope so. Last year, he hit 230 overall. That's fine. He was only 23 years old. Now he's a year older. He's seen Major League pitching for, I know it was a shortened season, but he's seen it for, at least 30, 40, 50 games. Can he do that? Can he do what he did at the end of last year and into the one playoff series? Can he do that for a full 140? If he can do that, I'll be happy with it. Okay? And then you go into Bowers. I already told you. Roberto Perez, you know what you're going to get. Sometimes he hits, sometimes he doesn't, but he's the best catching. He's one of the best fielding catchers in the game, so you live with it because he runs this very young rotation very, very well. So I like Roberto Perez. Andrés Giménez. I love this guy. And I know. Think back to 2005 when you tried to plug Johnny Peralta in for Omar Vizquel. Every play was like, Omar would have had that. Omar would have got that ball. Oh, he would have laid out. He would have barehanded that. He would have done a front flip and thrown it to first. I know. So he's got big shoes to fill. He's not going to be Frankie Lindor. There's not a lot of Frankie. There's actually no Frankie Lindors in the league. He's asking for 12 years, $385 million, and he's probably going to get that money because he's Frankie Lindor or Francisco. I'm sorry, Francisco. Got to get used to that. He didn't like it. I'll respect it, and I got to call him Francisco from now on. But there's not many Francisco Lindors around. So if Andrés Giménez can hit for average, put some good glove work in, he's young, he's 22, and you know what? If he doesn't pan out, I think he will, but if he doesn't, you got guys waiting. You got a bunch of infielders in this organization. You got Tyler Krieger. He had a good spring. Tyler Freeman. People are high on him. He's a prospect that people are waiting for. And before you got Giménez, people thought, well, Tyler Freeman's the natural guy to take over for Frankie Lindor. You got Yu Chang. We know what he can do. Owen Miller. People love that guy. You go on Twitter, you go on Reddit, people love that guy. So there are guys that can take over for Andrés Giménez if he does struggle early on. But you got to remember, he's 22 years old. He's 22 years old, so, he's got some room to grow there. And then the 9th spot, they got projected Ben Gamel. You got to find another center fielder. And that's my big problem. You're going into opening day, and yes, I know I just did this 15 minutes ago, but you're going into opening day without a center fielder. That's a problem. And you know what else is a problem? Because you said you wanted to compete. I'm going to go back to that, and I'm going to hold them to that. I'm going to hold this Indians organization to actually wanting to compete this year. Minnesota, they're a problem. They're a real problem. Their offense is very, very good. Now, their pitching is where I think they fall off a little bit. I'm not as high on their pitching as a lot of people are. Kenta Maeda, stud. Jose Barrios, stud. After that, Michael Pineda. I don't know. Matt Shoemaker. I don't know. J.A. Happ. He's been around a little bit, but, he's in my opinion, I'm not a J.A. Happ fan. I don't think he's that good. You go to the White Sox, even without Eloy Jimenez, they're stacked. They're ridiculously stacked. I love their team. Grandal can mash. Jose Abreu, last year's MVP. Nick Madrigal, he's going to get 300. Yohan Moncada, he's going to hit 280 and hit bombs. Tim Anderson, one of the best shortstops in the league. And then you got Luis Robert in center. And you got Adam Eaton. You know what you're going to get out of that guy. So you got problems in Minnesota and Chicago. And then you look at Kansas City and see what they did this offseason. And they improved their lineup, and I think their lineup's sexy. I think their lineup's really sexy. Salvi Perez, they rewarded him with a contract. Carlos Santana, we know that guy. I miss him already because we don't have a first baseman now. But so they got Carlos Santana as they stick him in there. Whit Merrifield, he's a stud. Hunter Dozier, the Indian killer. That guy just kills Indians pitching. Andrew Benintendi, they got him from Boston. I like him. Michael A. Taylor, he can hit. And then they got Soler in right, he can hit. Or if he's going to DH, then they're going to throw somebody else out there. Kansas City, Minnesota, Chicago, you got to beat those guys. And with this lineup the Indians have, you're not going to beat them hitting. And I know we haven't got to pitching yet, and that's where the Indians are probably going to win a lot of their games. They're over-under in Vegas, 81.5. I'll spoil it right now. I'm putting them around 84, 85 in my opinion. So I might hammer that over come opening day tomorrow, or 2 days from now, whenever you're listening. April 1st. How about we say that on Thursday, April 1st? I might hammer that over as we get closer to opening day, and I get a little more excited about everything. But you're gonna have to compete in this division. It's not the just wishy-washy division that everybody said it has been for the last 5 years. You got 3 teams, and if you count the Indians, 4 teams that are pretty good. And I'm not saying they're all true contenders, but they are all teams I think that can snag a wild card spot. I don't think I'm crazy for saying that. I don't think I'm crazy for saying they can snag a wild card spot there. So you got 4 teams that are really going to compete this year. You know, what the Indians have, I think, over all of these teams is obviously the pitching. And you might have questions about it. You might have concerns about this rotation because 3 years ago you had Kluber, you had Bauer, you had Carrasco, you had Clevenger, and then Bieber was your number 5. And now all of a sudden, Bieber, coming off the Cy Young, he was unhittable last year. I mean, he was unhittable. Do you want me to remind you what Shane Bieber did last year? I mean, I don't think I have to. But he goes 8-1, save it about the wins and losses. He threw a 1.63 ERA. ERA plus a 281. That's out of this world. He averaged 14 Ks per 9. Out of this world. He had a whip under 1. That's ridiculous. He only walked 21. He only walked 21. So he struck out basically 6 for every 1 walk. He gave up 7 dingers. He only gave up 14 runs, and he gave up 46 hits. And how many innings? 77 innings. The dude was lights out. So if he can do even half of that, I'm not asking for a 163 ERA, but I think he's probably going to give you a 2.3, 2.5 ERA, somewhere around there. Zach Plesac, he might be dumb. He might need to stop filming himself when he drives around. But you know what? I love his pitch mix. I love how he throws the baseball. I think he's a stud. What did he do last year, Plesac? It's my boy, by the way. I saw him pitch one time, and I'm like, this guy's a stud. He threw a 2.28 ERA last year in 55 innings. He went 4-2. Again, save it. He struck out 9.5 for every 1 walk, and he averaged 9 Ks a game. So he can command the ball. He knows where it's going when it leaves his hand. He has a nice mix of pitches. I like that guy as the number 2, who I really love and who I'm really excited to see pitch this year. Tristan McKenzie sticks. I love that kid. And what he did this summer, I loved it. He opened himself up. He has seemed like a pretty quiet guy for most of his minor league career this year. You saw him all over TV. He's doing interviews on Twitter. He goes to the Pitching Ninja, which is a Twitter account you should follow if you like baseball at all. I love him. I think he's kind of, grown into his own right now. And I think he's going to come out confident this year. I think he's been working on a lot of stuff, and I think he could be a solid 3. Now, here's where we get to the questions. Savali, analytics love him. He doesn't throw that hard, so where am I on that? Where are you on that? Let me know. Savali, I think he can be good, but then I think there's times where he can serve up a couple if you're playing the Yankees and you got to play against Judge and Stanton and Sanchez, the baby boppers that aren't really babies anymore. They're kind of a little older now. They're grown up, but I mean, you hang something to those guys and they're going to send it 500 feet the other way. So I like the top 3 in the Indians rotation. I think the bottom 2 got something to prove. I didn't get to number 5 where you got Allen there. We don't know what we're going to get from that guy. And that's worrisome, right? We don't know what we're going to get from Logan Allen. He's supposed to be good, right? He came over in that big Bauer deal, but we don't know what we're going to get from him. Last year, he came out of the pen, and he did okay. He pitched in 3 games. He had a 3.3 ERA, so you can't read too much into that. So what are we going to get out of Logan Allen? I don't know. Cal Quantrill, I like him. He's going to start in the pen, but we'll see how long that lasts, especially with all these teams saying they're going to go on a 6-guy rotation this year because nobody threw last year, so now they got to get their arms back. They had a whole spring. I don't know what the problem there with that is, but so I like the rotation. I think they're gonna blow a lot of this division's rotations out of the water, especially with Bieber, Plesac, McKenzie. Right, McKenzie, he's in the Rookie of the Year conversation to start the year. A lot of people projecting him to be in that running. So if he can show up, I like it. I look at the Royals. I think the Indians' rotation a lot better than them. Brad Keller's good. Brady Singer's good. Danny Duffy's meh. Mike Minor, meh. So they got like a guy and a half because we got to see what we're going to get out of Brady Singer. He's 24 years old, so we don't really know much about him. You go to the White Sox, Giolito. I love that guy. He does struggle sometimes. I do like him, though. Dallas Keuchel. What Keuchel are you going to get? I think he's good, but he's a little older now, so maybe his velo drops. I don't know. Lance Lynn, people like him. I'm not that high on him. Carlos Rodon, I was high on him coming up, right? I was high on him coming up. I thought he was going to dominate, and then every time he faces the Indians, they just mash him. I mean, they put up 8 runs on him, I swear, every time. He's like the new Al Albuquerque, but he's a starter. And then Dylan Cease, he looked nice last year and 2 years ago for the Sox, but we'll see what we get. And I already went over the Twins rotation. Maeda and Barrios good. Everything after that, who knows? So the Twins could be a good regular season team, but if you got to go 5-7 game series, I don't think that pitching staff lasts. Same with the Royals, who they're just going to be happy if they get in the playoffs. And that White Sox rotation, yeah, if everything works out, sure. They might win the division, and then they might be able to make a run if that rotation works out for them, but I don't know if it's gonna. So the Indians do have a chance this year. So I guess what I'm getting at. I guess I'm getting at that the Indians rotation is the best rotation in the division because that's what they do, right? They're a pitching factory. They send guys out, they bring them in, they turn them into Cy Young winners, Shane Bieber. They turn other guys that are probably 4 or 5 starters on other teams, and not by default, they become 2 starters on the Indians because the pitching development in this organization is so great. So my worry is just back to the roster, and I think that's where a lot of people's are. It's probably where your concern comes with the roster. I'll go back again. Cesar Hernandez, good. He won a Gold Glove last year. I know that has nothing to do with hitting, but I haven't mentioned that yet, so I want to. He's a good average hitter. Eddie Rosario, he's good for 25, 30 bombs. Jose Ramirez, we know what you're going to get from him. He's in top 5 MVP voting every year. Fran Mill, you could be looking at 30 to 35 bombs this year. That's nice. But then after that, I like Josh Naylor, but he hasn't proven anything. I don't like Jake Bauers, and they project him in the 6th hole, which is not good. But it makes sense because Berto, who we know isn't that good of a hitter, is pegged as the 7 hitter. So 1 through 4, good. After that, I don't know. And that's what worries me about this team. You tell me you want to win, but you leave center field open, and you leave first base open, and you don't really do anything in free agency where this was a free agency year where you could snag some guys because, well, a lot of teams were crying poor, just like the Dolans had done for the last 15 years, and they didn't want to pay guys, so you could have got guys on a cheaper deal, and they didn't. They didn't go and do that. They could have addressed center field, and I think they did they believe in Mercado? He got sent back to the alternate site last year, and Zimmer hasn't been healthy. I feel like he hasn't been on the team 10 years, but it seems like he has, and it seems like he's been hurt every year. So you could have plugged first base. You could have plugged center field for a year while you saw what Bobby Bradley can do and saw what Mercado and Zimmer can do in center field. You could have plugged those if you really wanted to win, but no. You were okay trying to play ultimate penny pincher money ball, coming in with a team payroll of $39 million. So I guess I should wrap this up, right? You're probably like, all right, Zach, wrap it up, man. This was a good first podcast, but all right, I got things to do. I got people to see. Well, you probably shouldn't have people to see. We're still in a pandemic, but I'm not going to judge you if you do. What am I saying here? What am I doing? 81.5, the over/under for this year. That's what Vegas has it as. I'm setting it at like 85. I think the Indians, if everything goes right, man, wild card. Maybe? Yeah, I think they could win a wild card spot. I think they can steal one from somebody. I mean, the East is going to be tough. The AL East is probably going to put the Yankees, Toronto, and the Rays in the playoffs, so there might be your wild card spots right there unless somehow the Rays don't add up to what they want to do because they got rid of Snell and a bunch of guys. The Yankees, the only thing that's going to stop them is injuries. Other than that, they're probably a 9,500 win team. And the Blue Jays, I think they're probably a step behind the White Sox, so they could get in the playoffs. They could be a year away. Maybe, they lose a few games early on and they come around 82, 83. So maybe the Indians have a couple more wins than them. But the AL East is going to put out teams. And then you go to the West. If the Angels, Shohei Ohtani, he looks like 1918 Babe Ruth on the mound, and then he looks like 1920 Babe Ruth at the plate right now in spring training. So he looks healthy. Pair him with Rendon and Mike Trout, and they might be able to be a playoff team. Pitching is a big concern. Obviously, they're the Astros. Do what they do. They're going to win that division most likely. The Oakland A's, they got Chapman over at third. He's a stud. They got Matt Olson at first. He's a stud. So they could put some stuff together. So if you don't win your division, which I don't think the Indians are going to do, I think it's either going to go to the Twins or the White Sox. Are they going to be able to get a wild card spot? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So I think their ceiling is second place in the AL Central. I think their floor could be fourth in the AL Central. And that's bad news. That would be bad news for everyone involved, because then the Indians might just blow it up and we might go back to 2009 to 2013 times, where it was just you might win 70, you might win 80, but you ain't competing. So I think that's where I have the Indians right now. And I'd love for them to prove me wrong. I'd love for them to be in the mix at the trade deadline and make a deal to bring in a certified center fielder. I don't know who, but that's what they get paid to do. And what if Bobby Bradley doesn't work out and Jake Bauers doesn't work out? Well, maybe they're not in that position in the first place. But if they are, maybe you go get a first baseman, or you move Fran Mill to first and you find another bopper you can put in the DH. I'm still excited, though. I'm still excited. Opening day, it's here. Maybe it's tomorrow. Maybe it's 2 days from now. But it's here. I'm ready. After last year's sham of a season, I'm ready for a full 162. I'm ready to see what Bieber can do in a 162. I'm ready to see what Plesac. I'm ready to see McKenzie break out. I'm ready to see Josie put up other MVP numbers. I'm excited to see Eddie Rosario. And might I say, he might put up Frankie Lindor numbers, and we're not worried about it because left field didn't give the Indians anything last year. So maybe he replaces that on offense. I know it's not from the shortstop position. That's a sexier thing if it comes from the shortstop position than the left field position. But you know what? Hits are hits, homers are homers. And if Eddie Rosario does that, then the Indians might not be as bad as we think they are. And Josh Naylor could break out. I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see Jake Bauers get sent down in about 30 days or so. I'm excited about Andres Jimenez, and I'm excited to see Ben Gamel probably be the next Domingo Santana and just get straight up DFA'd in about a month. So there's a lot of question marks. You're allowed to be angry at the Dolans and excited about what's on the field at the same time. I think that's where I am right now. It angers me that the Indians don't want to spend money. They want to stay around the 40, 50, 60 million dollar marker, where the league average is $119 million payroll, and the Indians are that's like $80 million lower than the league average, which is unacceptable. It's not my fault you signed a bad TV deal. Just spend the money and put a winning product out there, and people will go down to the ballpark, especially this year when they're all excited because last year we didn't get to go. So I'm excited, though. I am excited. I hope you're excited. I appreciate you tuning into this. I appreciate you trying out a new Indians podcast. I wanted to get it earlier on in spring training, and, I would have covered the Lindor deal and all that stuff, but life happens, so I wasn't able to, but I am getting it up now. And, yeah, I got the Indians around 84, 85, ceiling second place, wild card spot. Maybe they can go on a run if they make a move at the trade deadline. Who knows? But they're not going to be awful. They're not going to be the Orioles. They're not going to be the Pirates. They're not going to be the Tigers. All right, so just set that there. I'm looking at other teams. They're going to be better than the Mariners. They're going to be better than the Rangers. They're going to be better than the Rockies probably. They're going to be better than the Reds. And the NL you can look at. They're going to be better than, they're not going to be the worst team ever. All right, this isn't going to be the stretch from 1948, wink, wink, to 1994, where they win 60, 70 games for 40 years in a row. I think they're going to win 80, 85 games around there, and And I think this should be a fun year. You should still go to the ballpark, still keep up with the team, tune in and turn on Hammy and sit on the porch and crack open a cold one and appreciate it, because last year we kind of got screwed out of it. So I guess I'm done here. I could probably go on forever, but I guess I'll wrap it up because I know you got things to do. So I appreciate you tuning in. I really, really do. Again, you can find this however you're listening or watching. You can tune in on Spotify, Google Play. What are the other ones? SoundCloud. And Apple Podcasts, of course, duh. That's where I get all mine. So yeah, you can listen to this wherever you get podcasts, and of course, you can tune in and watch this on YouTube. So I appreciate you clicking on it. I appreciate you trying out a new podcast. I'm gonna do my best to make it fun. And if you have any suggestions, or if you just hate me, either way, leave a comment, subscribe. I don't want to be that guy, but yeah, do that. No, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, if you could help me out, if you could subscribe, that'd be great, because that's how you get recognized on these platforms. So once again, I appreciate you trying out a new podcast. I appreciate you clicking on Chasing 48. And I will see you in a week, and we will have 5 games under our belt to talk about that by then. So I can't wait for that. I'm Zach Harley. I appreciate you. I always sign off like this. So as always, be a good person. Be a great person. Do something nice for someone. I'll see you next week.